Hello, everyone. Here we have the Constitution of the United States of America. We're going to work a little bit on this to try to see if we can together understand it, to see if we together can read it and agree on what it actually says. And I'm going to read the preamble, okay, because you already should know what it says. I want to read you then Article 1, Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. While we discussed the Constitution, we're also going to talk a little bit about, and you can comment down below about it, but we're going to talk about how the Constitution is actually a living document. The founders never said anywhere that this Constitution can ever be changed. What he says is mandated by God. It isn't. It was written by man, okay? And some of the things that the Constitution has through amendment can be changed. Let's take the House of Representatives should be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualification required for elector of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. Okay, that sounds pretty nice, especially during those days. It was fine. But you know what that has created right now? Since the congressmen, not senators, congressmen and women, had to be elected every 2 years. What's happening? That we elect members of Congress that are in a constant re-election campaign. So these people can actually really do a good job up in Washington because they have to be campaigning since the minute that they get elected so they can have money for the next year. So we need to make some changes, for example, to Section 2 of the Constitution. That way we can remove that 2 years and change it maybe to 4. Okay? So they don't have to be on campaign all the time. It's going to serve us, the people, so much better. At the same time, we can also try, once again, to change election campaign laws that are killing this country. No matter whether you are on the left or the right, you should be for clean elections. Okay? If you are leftist or rightist, you cannot agree that a corporation is a person. You see the stupidity of those things? We should agree on things that are just common sense. Okay? Now, if you say that a corporation is a person, then let's agree then that you have no common sense. Is that fair enough? Okay, we're going to jump here to Section 8. It says, number 1, the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excise, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excise should be uniform throughout the United States. Okay, I'll just take that right there. When some people, usually right-wingers, militias, sovereign citizens, and so on and so forth, they talk about how some law is unconstitutional. They always say it's unconstitutional, but they don't show you why. Also, when they say that the United States government cannot do this or that, yes, it does. It says right here that when they say that the only thing the United States can do is provide for defense, no, it isn't. The Constitution tells you, I provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. So, is that clear? That is not just defense that the United States government can do. Section 8 of the Constitution, Article 1, it tells you clearly also provide for the general welfare of the United States. Okay? So you should agree on that, right? I mean, you should agree that the Constitution says that the U.S. government should provide for the common defense and the general welfare of the United States. If you disagree, then you are not a constitutional person, because it is in black and white right here. See what I'm saying? You can't pick one area, okay, and not read the others. You have to understand the whole thing. And that's where so many of you make the mistakes. However, I'm trying to teach you about reading it. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. That's up to you. I don't do anybody's homework. Also, let's go to number 15 in Section 8. Clause 15. To provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. Okay? The militia that can be called out by Congress and the U.S. government to execute the laws of the Union. The United States is the Union. To suppress insurrections. Insurrections are internal. They are not external. That means people that want to raise up arms against the Union of the United States and repel invasions. Now, I'm going to ask you, like every time we read something, we're going to go and ask you again, do we agree that the United States government and through the laws of the Congress can call out the militia to execute the laws of the Union? Can we agree on that? To execute the laws of the United States. We agree. Also, to suppress insurrections. If you have any questions about insurrections, I will not define it for you. Go to your dictionary and look it up. You need to do your own homework. It'll make you a better person. So, suppress insurrections. Can we agree on that? Because I know that you always agree that the U.S. government should repel invasions. You always agree on that. You're just not very sure about this area here, suppress insurrection. And I want you to be very clear that the U.S. government is constitutional when they suppress insurrections. We have to be clear, because when you don't have facts, everything else is hearsay. So don't call yourself a constitutionalist and carry around a little pocket constitution there when you don't really understand it. You have to understand it. Don't let someone else tell you what it is. I am just reading it to you. I'm asking you, do you agree that the U.S. government can call out the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrection, repel invasions? If you don't agree, then you are not reading correctly. See what I'm saying? Okay, we'll move to the next. Number 16. Very simple again. You have to understand that when the Constitution talks about militia, it says a well-organized militia. Number 16 emphasizes that again. It said to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively the appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed by Congress. So yes, what is the militia? The Army National Guard. Okay? And the states get to appoint the officers. Okay? But they have to be armed and disciplined by U.S. law. Okay? Just calling yourself a militia doesn't make you a militia. Not according to the Constitution. You see what I'm saying? you will fall on the insurrection, on the number 15, not 16. You got to understand that. If we don't understand that, you're never going to be able to create a believable argument for yourself. So remember that. The militia is provided by the U.S. Congress, which is representing the U.S. government, for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia. You got to understand that. If you read it and you say, well, it's not constitutional, well, then you don't believe in the Constitution. Clearly you don't. Let's go to the most important one that you guys love to quote. Clause 17. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever of a such district not exceeding 10 miles square as may, by cession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of the government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful building. Semicolon. And, see what I'm saying? It doesn't end with a period. And, next, 18, to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or office thereof. Period. Remember, 17 and 18 are tied together by and. You cannot read 17 alone. You have to read 17 and 18 together. It could be just one clause, you see. But they made it different to make it easier on you. The founding fathers were so intelligent, such visionaries they were, that they knew that some of you would have problems reading. So they separated it into two. But actually, it could have been just one. Okay? So don't forget that clause 17 does not end with a period. 18 does. That's the end of it. Clause 17, and, which is there, and you follow that with this. Okay, are we clear now? I hope we are. If you're not clear, read it again. Discuss it amongst yourself. Discuss it with yourself. Say it out loud. Think out of the box a little bit. It's what it's trying to tell you. This 17 is about before Washington, D.C. was even created, when there was not a capital yet called Washington, D.C. Okay? They wanted to create an area that was going to be just for the federal government. A place where they're going to build the buildings for the Senate, for the Congress, the Capitol, all that. This is what this is referring to. This is not referring to land ownership in the United States, people. You got to get that out of your head, because it makes you look like a fool when you do. You see, when you have a point of view, express it, but only if you have facts with you. Not just because I say so, make it so. Let's give you an example. Ammon Bundy, every time that he talked to someone, when they say something that he didn't like, he says, that's not constitutional. Well, that's not true. You see what I'm saying? Because Sheriff Ward did not agree with Ammon Bundy on what he thinks a constitutional sheriff is. That doesn't mean that Ammon Bundy was right or that he is constitutional about it. No, he isn't. He's lawless and dangerous, Ammon Bundy is, because he reads only what he wants to read. He believes only what he wants to believe, especially a man like Ammon Bundy that feels that God talked to him. God talked to him about doing this in Oregon. You know, the last person that really made a big mistake before Mormon came around about having someone talking to them? That was Muhammad. That was that crazy man Muhammad. Okay? That had a ringing in his ear, and he thought that it was God talking to him. And look at the mess that he made. Okay? So you Mormons got to think about that. Okay? You're pretty close to those Muslim people, just as crazy as they are, But here's a man that listened to God's voice, and then he tell you that he knows the Constitution. You should not believe on that, You should believe what you read and interpret to your own self, because it's pretty easy. So don't quote this Clause 17 anymore as saying there that the U.S. government cannot own any land. You are 100% incorrect. Don't continue to look like a fool, okay, to believe that. Let's move on to Section 9. And let's take also clause number 2. The privilege of habeas corpus should not be suspended. We understand that. Unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. Well, we haven't suspended habeas corpus yet. If you don't know what he means, I will not tell you either. Do your homework. Look it up. It's the problem with Americans today. We don't do any homework. If you have a question about a word, a definition, an idea, look it up. Find out what it means. It will make you a better person. Okay, so the privilege of habeas corpus should not be suspended unless in cases of rebellion. Define rebellion. What does that mean? Was the Bundy Ranch a rebellion? Look it up. Look at the actions that were taken there. Look at the actions that were taken in Oregon. Should we have suspended habeas corpus for those people there? Why and why not? Make an argument for yourself, pro and con. It will make you a better person. See, not because I'm telling you this is because this is the reality. However, if you don't want to do it, then stay dumb and ignorant. That's up to you, okay? Cases of rebellion or invasion that the public safety may require. Let's move to Section 10. Number 1. Whatever you want to call it. Clause 1, Paragraph 1, whatever. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation. Okay, let's do this again. Semicolon after that. If you don't know what means for a sentence to have a semicolon, if you don't know what it means for what comes after, look it up. I will not do your homework for you. But find it, you become a better person. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation. So then, was the Civil War constitutional? Is it people that fly the Confederate flag, are they followers of the Constitution? Can you say that you are a constitutionalist, have a Constitution in your shirt pocket, and also fly a Confederate flag on your truck? Are those things that are logical, or are they oxymorons? Figure out what logical means and also what an oxymoron is. I won't do your homework for you, but it will make you a better person. You need to read. You need to understand. You need to learn and educate yourself. It's always good for the country, but our country has deteriorated, not because of our education system, people, because we have become so lazy. Okay? That is what the problem is. It's not the education system, because remember, there are some children that are excelling at school too. That the majority are not. It's not the school system, it's us. Let's be clear here. Let's go to number 3 of the same section 10. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, without the consent of Congress, sorry about that. You know my accent anyway. Lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. So, when you read section 10, it's everything. When it says that you cannot have, a confederation, that you cannot keep troops or ships of war, that means that the Civil War and the Confederate States, they were unconstitutional. There's no doubt about it. The Constitution tells you about it. So now we are going to move to Article 2. Article 2 refers to the executive branch. Article 1, if you're not aware, it was about the judicial branch. About the, take that back, not the judicial branch, but to the legislative branch. So here we have Article 2, Section 2, Paragraph 1, Clause 1, whatever you want to call it. The President should be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States, and of the militia of the several states, when called into the actual service of the United States, semicolon. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of the respective offices, and he shall have power to grant reprieves and pardon for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. Okay, so here we have Section 2, Paragraph 1, said that the President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief of the Army and the Navy, and of the militia of the several states. Here we go. The militia of the several states. Let me ask you this, people, and be logic about it. Don't allow your passion to cloud your judgment, okay? When Section 2 and Paragraph 1 of the Constitution says that the President is the commander of the militia of the several states, if the militia was not a well-organized one, like the Constitution says, if the militia was not well-organized, how could the President be the commander of that militia? Did you understand? If I am the militia, because I'm a member of a group that's not affiliated with the state, how could the President be the Commander-in-Chief of that militia? You see how simple that is. The Constitution tells us it's a well-organized militia. Doesn't mean a disorganized militia. Well-organized by the states, and the states will provide the officers. Just because I give myself a rank, like so many militias do, doesn't mean that I am. You see what I'm saying? It's common sense. Read the Constitution. It's so easy to read and understand as long as your mind is clear and open. Let intelligence actually show you the day. You can't say that you're a militia and not abide by the Constitution. It's simple, and very easy to understand. Read it again. The President should be the Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States, and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. Example, during the first Gulf War, President Bush first called out Army National Guard and the Army Reserve. But the Army Reserve is federal. It's just a part direct of the Army. The Army Reserve has no leadership that is from any state. It just falls directly under the U.S. Army, where the Army National Guard falls under the U.S. Army, but in time of peace, their chain of command follows the state first. But it still has on top the commander-in-chief of the United States, which is the president. Okay? So the president call out the organized militia to fight wars when we need them, like we have done throughout the history of this country. They didn't call just Joe Blow militia there to go fight in Iraq and Afghanistan, did they? Did you ever see that? So that you have to take those two things together and say, yeah, this makes sense. This section 2, paragraph 1 really says that who the militia is. It's not what you want to believe, because then we have nothing. We have chaos, anarchy. If you don't know what chaos means, look it up. If you don't know what anarchy means, look it up. It will make you a better person. All right, we're going to move now to Article 3, which is judicial. Okay, we already went to Article 1, which was legislative. Article 2, which is executive. And Article 3, which is judicial. What are those? Those are the 3 branches of government, okay? So, we are going to go to Section 1 of Article 3. Section 1. The judicial power of the United States, that means law, shall be vested in one Supreme Court. And in such inferior courts, it means courts underneath the Superior Court, as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. All right, let's think a little bit about this. Can you call yourself a constitutionalist if you don't abide by what the Supreme Court says is the law? Can you say, I'm a constitutionalist, but I don't like what the Supreme Court says, so I don't have to abide by it? No, you're not a constitutionalist. That's lawlessness. That's chaos again, and that's anarchy. You cannot have a country. You cannot have a working country like that. We cannot pick and choose what we desire all the time. Somebody have to read, understand the Constitution and the law, and then they'll make a decision. All right, I grant you that there are times that everyone is bound to make decisions that we don't agree with, and that might appear to us to not be in the benefits of the country, but we still have to follow the law. It's what keeps the countries going. See, people, the majority of you have never left the United States. You don't know how other countries operate, really. See, the countries that have no law and order are chaotic. Nobody wants to live there. Only when you have the rule of law that is followed by the citizens and by the law enforcement also. And we can disagree on what law enforcement can and cannot do, but you still have to follow the law when you consider yourself a citizen. So, to have no law, to abide by nothing except what you only believe, is impossible. You will have no country whatsoever. And when you say, like many of you do, we want to go back to the beginning of the country, like the Constitution says, well, the Constitution really covers everything you're talking about. There wasn't not just people just grabbing land, okay, and having a free-for-all. No, it wasn't like that. When they opened, let's say Oklahoma, when the Oklahoma territory was opened up, and they let all these European just going there and grab land for free. That was because the U.S. government allowed it. You understand that? It wasn't the state of Oklahoma that did it. Because there was something called the Oklahoma Land Rush. Go read it. Find out. Read your history. It's good for you. Make you a better American. So, you cannot be a believer in the Constitution when you don't abide by the Supreme Court's decisions. It's an oxymoron to say that you are and don't abide by it. So, quit being a liar. Quit lying to yourself like LaBoy Finicum and Ammon Bundy and his father and company, because that's what you're doing. You're a liar and lying to yourself. Lying to oneself is the worst of all lies. We're going to touch on this one just a little bit so we all be clear. Article 3, Section 3, Paragraph 1. Treason. What is treason? Well, the Constitution says, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies. If you don't know what it means, adhering there and that concept, look it up. Comma, giving them aid and comfort. Okie doke. Giving the enemy aid and comfort. Let me ask you this. If a group of Americans rebel against the government and decide to declare war against the government, and you call them and give that group information about what the law enforcement is doing, is that treason? Yes, it is treason according to Section 3, Paragraph 1 of the Constitution, because you're giving aid and comfort to the enemy. So, a lot of the people that went to Oregon recently and participated in this occupation, armed occupation, unlike Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore think that armed occupation is only violent when people point weapons at someone, which is an incredible asinine statement to make, okay? Those people that went there and say, oh, I just here as a cook, you were aiding and giving comfort to the enemy. We got to be clear about this. See, a lot of these people want to play games of freedom fighter, but if you're not capable of withstand the consequences, just do it at home. There are plenty of video games like that, but don't go out, dress up like a clown, thinking that Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday is every day, and then expect somebody to say, oh, well, I'm good people, please don't put me in jail. No, it doesn't work like that. Well, I mean, really, you know what freedom fighters all over the world are saying about you? They laughing their head off. They thinking, wow, these Americans don't get it, do they? I mean, you call yourself freedom fighters and militias and patriots, but then you want to be handled like children. Let's put you on a corner there just for a few hours. Time out for you. I am sorry. It doesn't work like that. This is the real world. Yes, I understand you play too many games on your computer and you type a lot of things. But once you say something, it's out there. When you say, kill them, it's out there. You don't retract those words. And you can say, but I didn't mean it. We don't know that. I'm not sure. Let me give you an example. If I am in a place or something and I have a gun and somebody else has a gun, and he says to me, you know what, the next time I see you, I will kill you. If he says that, I have the responsibility to take care of that person right then and there. Because if you tell me you're going to hurt me, I have to defend myself. So if you tell law enforcement that you're not going to be taken alive, that don't point weapons at me, but if you do, I'm going to react, and I have weapons, okay? When something happened to me, my family, she says, should say peep about it. And if I ever get involved in a situation like that, I will tell my family to stand up like I wanted to stand up and just say, you know what? My husband, my father died doing what he believes. Quit crying about it. You understand that? Quit crying about it. And at least say he did and died for what he believes. I have to say one thing about this guy Finicum. It's the only one that I have some sort of respect for, even though he was a misguided person. But he was the only one in this group that had the courage to really, really do what he said he was going to do. All the other ones are just chicken hawks, like Ted Nugent. Okay? No different. No different. I got more respect for a terrorist than for these people. They have no valor. They have no courage. They don't love country. They want to be. So we're going to Article 4. Article 4 is about states' relations, and this is really important. This is the one that you guys should all read really well till you understand it, okay? Article 4, State Relations, Section 3, Paragraph 2. Let me read it to you. The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States. Let's just stop right there. There is a semicolon. It means that sentence continues. But when it says that the Congress has the power to dispose and make all rules and regulations respecting the territory or the property belonging to the United States, can the United States own property? Of course it can. It tells you right here in the Constitution. Let's continue. And nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed as to prejudice any claims of the United States over any particular state. Are we clear? I mean, this is pretty clear. Nothing in this Constitution, right there it says, and nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed as to prejudice any claims of the United States, comma, or of any particular state. That cannot be any clearer, people. So don't quote, okay, Article 1, Section 8, Paragraph 17 as saying that the United States can only own land in Washington, D.C. People just laugh at you. And that's why you're not going to go anywhere with that. Find the facts, understand it, and apply to your case. That's how you win. You don't win by making things up. I'm going to read you just one paragraph in Article 6 about the national supremacy, oath of office, and so on. Paragraph 3 says, the senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation. See, you don't have to swear by God or anything like that. You can affirm. See, the founders were so intelligent again. They knew how some of you will feel. So they allow to be bound by oath or affirmation. I can say, I affirm. And that is legal. A president can actually put his hand on the Constitution. He doesn't have to put it on the Bible. And I can say, I affirm to defend this Constitution. Let me continue. To support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Are we clear now? That you don't have to say, I swear to God, on anything in this country. That's the beauty of it. They never mentioned God in this Constitution, okay? Because they knew there was trouble. So here we are. This is the end when we talk about oath and affirmation. And I hope you got something out of this. I hope you went from the beginning to the end and listened. If I open your mind a little bit to understand the Constitution a little bit better, then that's good. But don't just reject it. Just try to understand it. Try to see, do what I believe is something that the Constitution actually says. And if it doesn't and you're wrong, let's be adults and say, I was wrong. It's nothing bad about making mistakes. The great thing is to be able to make the readjustment with the truth. So let's all readjust for the truth. That's what's important. And don't allow so-called constitutional attorneys that are not real attorneys or constitutional speakers that don't know the Constitution to tell you what it says. The Constitution was written in plain language so all of you, all Americans, can understand it. You understand? You get it now? Please, read it and go through some of those paragraphs that I discussed that were the one that has where people make the most mistakes and try to understand what it truly says. Have a great day. And let's keep the great USA the way it always been. One of the best country in the history of mine.